Welcome to Comic Chat with Gat. I'm Taylor Catcher.
I'm Chris Gadley. This is one of the segments that we like doing for our video content for your eyes, but we also got stuff for your ears. So CBX Casts or CBXCats.com. Look for Comic Chat with Gat. Enjoy.
See ya. Welcome to Comic Chat with Gat. My name is Wayne Campbell. Excellent. And this is my best friend, Chris Gadley.
I don't understand the reference. Welcome everyone to Comic Chat with Gat. This week is the week after Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con. It is in San Diego, as the name would say.
Yes.
And Taylor was actually there.
I was there.
So that's really
I survived through it.
You were retweeting it all from the @ComicChatWGat Twitter handle?
I was doing my best, but even, usually you're like, oh, the Wi-Fi's slow here. Well, it was the actual network was slow here because everyone was trying to get on their phones.
Right, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Somehow the celebrities still got it. They must have like a secret channel.
Was anyone stabbed with a mechanical pencil?
No. Well, I didn't go to Hall H, but Hall H was much nicer this year, I guess.
Okay.
It was, just Star Wars and
security
DC and
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, so hold on. So I thought Hall H was like a conference room. So it's literally a hall with different rooms in it, or
Hall H is the big room with the big panels and stuff. Like it's a specific other area that's attached to the convention hall, but it's its own separate section. Like there are a bunch of panel rooms. They're like room 7AB, which is like A, B, and partition of how they have partition things.
Right.
And so there's a bunch of little ones that go around, and I got to do 2 of those different panels. But as far as the biggest room is either there's one big one. It's like 120 or something like that on one side, and then Hall H on the other side, and then the big convention hall in the middle.
Would you recommend it for people? Was it a good time?
I think it was a great time. I think
what did you like more, the panels or walking the floor?
The floor was just something incredible in the fact that it's cool to do a panel, but panels take a lot of time. So if you did all panels, if you did Hall H, you don't walk the floor. You sleep. If you were going to do a Friday panel, if it's Star Wars, if it's this big, people were spending the night Wednesday night for Friday.
What days did it go through?
It went Thursday's preview night, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
But Sunday there's no more panels. It's like Saturday, Sunday.
So when you walk the floor, really, did you get out of the way? What panels did you see?
I saw the Legend of Korra Dark Horse panel because I was dressed up as Nuktuk, Hero of the South.
Yeah.
Right? And so I figured I might as well go to the Korra panel.
Hero of the South.
He is the Hero of the South.
Clearly.
That's who he is. And so we went to the Korra panel. Of course, everyone wanted pictures because if you go to the Korra panel, it's a Korra character. That's how you make yourself feel real good.
Did you at least show the website or anything? Hashtags?
You didn't give me the t-shirt.
ComicChatWGat. Well, you couldn't wear that when your costume.
But the next day I walked around all day.
Did you say hashtag?
No, I didn't do anything.
Should have told people we should have got any fucking business cards.
I know. I thought about that as I was there. We should have business cards.
Well,
anyway, the point is that I did that panel, and then I did the Greg Capullo panel, who we're going to talk about in a second. He's the artist for Batman currently. Him and Scott Snyder basically are doing what all the Batman comics.
Are they related? Zack Snyder and Scott Snyder? Are they related?
No, not at all. But they both work for DC.
Do you think they get that a lot?
Maybe, because they both are, one's the writer of Batman, the other one's
I think they spell it different, though.
They might.
2 Ds or 2 Ys.
I don't think so. No, I think it's probably spelled the same way. I think about it.
So you're on the floor and you got stuff signed. We did a pre-show of what we were going to go through in this. I don't know who any of these people are. Right. So I'm going to need you to explain it to me because that's the whole premise of the show. Comic Chat with Gat is a weekly comic segment podcast where it's both audio and video found on CBXCast.com. Then we've also got the YouTube channel you can watch and subscribe to iTunes or any of your podcast stuff. I don't know anything about this stuff. And this shirt, bought at Target by my fiance. So Taylor's here to teach me these things, hopefully to teach you some things as well. Yeah. But mainly me because I'm selfish. So what
so first I'm going to go over the stuff that's not signed, but it's exclusive. So they made a Justice League 41 exclusive Justice League 41 Darkseid versus the Anti-Monitor, kind of like a fight. You're going to be in a fight.
Is it just a poster? Or
no, it's the whole comic. It's number 41.
Why isn't it opened?
Because it's a Comic-Con exclusive.
Wait, what does that matter? Oh, did it devalue it and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So what's your question?
I almost opened it. I promise I won't.
I mean, you can. I mean,
no, I don't want to do that.
Open it.
So this is DC. Right. So instantly, I don't know because I know some basic understanding.
Bad guy. He's the big bad.
Is he Iron Man? His eyes are.
No, he shoots lasers. He shoots Omega beams out of his eyes.
Okay, so what would you say comparative to Marvel? Who is he comparative to?
Thanos.
Really? He's that big.
He's a big bad.
He's a big guy.
Is
he any movies coming up?
I feel like if they were gonna make a villain of the Justice League movie,
it'd be him. Okay.
Probably.
So
because he was the first bad guy in the New 52 Justice League.
Is he a person? And he's bad?
Yeah, he's like he's like a god level character. He's very, very, very strong.
But he started out as a person.
No,
he's just a guy.
He's Apocalypse. He lives on a planet called Apocalypse. So
cool.
He's just a guy.
So
but he's his own guy.
Though. This guy looks like an alien.
Yeah, well, the Anti-Monitor, if you remember when I talked about Crisis on Infinite Earths, remember when I talked about that, where Barry Allen dies?
Yes. Cool. That was a thick episode, people. You should go back and listen to that one. I learned a shitload from that.
Well, that was the earlier ones because I think we scrapped one.
No, Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yeah. I don't know, whatever. We talked about it during the Flash episode. We definitely talked about Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that's the one where the Anti-Monitor is the one who's the Anti-Monitor's gun is what the Flash died to stop. So Crisis on Infinite Earths, he's a big bad guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember, because there's the
episode 2.
That was episode 1 or 2. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Those Flash ones were really good because that's when he didn't know Dick.
Yeah.
And then
he has really good questions. But as I keep teaching him, he's learning more, and it's kind of getting
frustrating to understand it. Yeah. He's starting to get what it is.
He's almost going to be like, yeah. So then this happened, and so that's what this is. It's the new. It's the Dark Side War is what's going on in comic books right now.
Am I mispronouncing it? Dark Side or Dark
Side? It's spelled C.
What the fuck are you going to sell like that? It's like with Sparrow, or what we just talked about with Arrow.
Shadow.
Shadow with no W. Come on, guys.
It's S-H-A-D-O.
What if that was just a typo?
It's not. Though.
And then they were like, oh, we got to go with it now.
We have a lot more comics to go through, Chris.
You're right.
Okay, so this is actually, they still had it, and you know what, I would open it, but the other side is Reverse Flash. So this is Flash, and the other side's like the same thing, Reverse Flash on the back side of the comic.
This is just issue 1, though.
This is issue 1 of Flashpoint. This was the 2011 Comic-Con exclusive. They still had some left over.
This is based on the movie, though, right?
No, the movie is based on the book. Yeah, I called you babe. You got a
that's fine. No, but Flashpoint, that's what I meant. But the movie that you made me watch was awesome.
Yeah, Flashpoint's
This
great.
is Flashpoint. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
And so this was the 2000, you know, it was cool. I don't know why. Whatever, man. This is hot over there.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know how to store comics.
The third one is a bot exclusive. So I didn't get it signed in person, but there's a certificate of authenticity. This is the Comic-Con exclusive Alex Ross variant cover of Secret Wars #1. Alex Ross.
He's the guy who does Batman.
No, man.
I don't know. I thought you just said it.
No,
Okay, Greg Capullo.
No. Okay, Alex Ross is like the guy who did Kingdom Come. His art is phenomenal. Actually, I got his that's okay. I got his sketchbook there too. It's signed. Like his art's really good. Like he's really good. And then the year before that,
it's a little 90s for me.
There's his Marvel cover that's also signed from the year before that. At Comic-Con, I got someone to sign it. That's not a graphic novel. Like, look at that. The art's really good. It's very old. Whatever, Chris. Anyway, so that was cool. I was like, hey, cool. I mean, I love Alex Ross, and to have a signed comic by him is really cool. All right. Next up, I stood in line and got the tickets or whatever to see Grant Morrison and Jim Lee. So I got Grant Morrison to sign my Action Comics #1. Now that I brought 4 books to get signed. Okay, I brought my Action Comics #1, my Superman Unchained Bruce Timm variant cover, my Justice League #1, and my Batman #1 because I was like, I'll get one of them probably. Sure. Right? The odds of getting all 4 with the people is crazy.
Spoiler alert, you probably got all 4.
I got all 4. Oh my gosh, that's the best. So I should have brought Multiversity. Remember we talked about Multiversity, and I talked about the one where it's like, you have to help me. Like it was like a book that was like the Ring or whatever. Not the Ring. What's the one where they watch the VHS tape and they die? The Ring. Yeah. But it was like the book was like, don't turn this page or you can end the world.
Yeah, that was recent.
Right.
That was one of
Ultra Comics #1 from the Multiversity Convergence issue. That was one of my favorite books, and I should have brought that because I also read his book Super Gods. Remember I talked to you about Grant Morrison? He's kind of really heady. He's really thought provoking.
Watchmen?
No, that's Alan Moore.
Okay.
Anyway, so Grant Morrison's one of my favorite writers, and he's a really cool Scottish guy. It's a cool Scottish accent, you know. And so I was planning to get in line to get to Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo because I had my Scott Snyder Batman #1 last year signed by Scott Snyder. I had cousin Michael. You guys know Michael is a friend of the show, CBX at least. Yeah. He ended up running him to on the floor when I gave him this book and got it signed, which was amazing, right? But I was like, I want the other one to sign it, so I have both. I wanted a complete signature book of Scott Snyder of Batman #1. So I wanted Greg Capullo, so I was like, I'll stand in line for Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, and then Scott Snyder could also sign my Superman Unchained #1 because he wrote that. And I was like, that'll be fun. But in First World Nerd Problems, Chris, 7:30 was the Nerdist Live. And the signing was from 5 to 6. And I was like, I never have time to eat. No, because I had to walk to the Balboa Theater.
Oh, I didn't know the eating was the problem.
Right, the eating is the problem, and it's far away. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll get Grant Morrison and Jim Lee, which is like a silly odd guess, because Jim Lee is one of the best artists ever.
Yes.
That's Jim Lee. That's good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Don't me. That's really.
I like the graphic, like the dark stuff. I think that looks really cool.
Well, no, but Jim Lee also did. I guess while we're here, this is live. We're live, people. I mean, he did Batman. That's really good. So he did. Like this is. Remember when I showed you that picture of that lady?
Show it to the friends.
See, All-Star Batman and Robin is one of my favorite Batman books. Remember when I texted you the picture of Vicky Vale?
Yeah, that's weird.
Jim Lee. Well, she was naked or almost naked in that picture. But anyway, so he does great stuff like the Batcave.
Holy shit!
I don't know if you can really see that.
Well, you can't, but it's in great
impressive.
detail. In great detail.
So anyway, Jim Lee's amazing. He's also the CCO of DC Comics.
Ah, and he still does art too. Good for him.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What does Kevin Feige do? He just tells people what to do.
So anyway, we're at like 9 minutes.
That's fine with me. Hope you guys are enjoying. Subscribe.
Okay, so anyway, so I got my Action Comics #1, written by Grant Morrison, signed by Grant Morrison, and while I was there, I was like, hey, I read your book, Super Gods, and in it, you talked about a lot of stuff that seemed to be going on in Multiversity. And I was like, was that, and he's like, yeah, that's actually what I was doing. Like, he has that really cool Scottish accent.
Oh, okay, good.
Right, he was like, yeah, no, he's like, that's what I was trying, I was writing both at the same time.
I give him Russian. That's okay.
Whatever, I can't do it, whatever. The point is, he said he was writing both at the same time, and a lot of the ideas crossed over, and that was awesome, because it was like asking the person who wrote this, like, are these related? Because they felt related to me, and they did.
So we went through all the main ones.
No, there's still more.
Jesus Christ, what else is there?
I only showed you the first signed one.
That was one?
That was Grant Morrison.
Oh my god.
Okay,
all right, what else
so then Jim Lee, we'll just talk about this real quick. Jim Lee signed the Justice League #1. We talked about Jim Lee,
yeah,
so there's that. Because they were together, they were signing together.
Very exciting.
And then I ended up getting Greg Capullo. I went to his panel, and he signed this for me.
So how many people can you get to sign each? Like, are you able to bring 4?
5 books per person. But I only didn't know that, and I only brought a couple books because I didn't think I'd even get into a line, because you get into a line to get a wristband that lets you get into a line later, and once they run out of wristbands, you can't get anything signed. But if you go to their panels or their like other signings, you just run into them on the floor, you can get stuff signed. So those books there, the Justice League and that one, were signed by them at their signing thing. And then I was like, okay. And then I also got Jim Lee to sign this, but we'll talk about this in a second. So I ended up going and getting this signed by Greg Capullo. So now this Batman #1 is like $600 or something. It's like worth like $600.
Is it really?
Yeah, because they both signed it. Pretty cool.
Let's steal the shit out of that.
Yeah, I know, right? You're here. Which is super exciting. Greg Capullo was one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Is he really? Okay.
He was super nice. I got a picture with him. He was really nice and cool. And his panel was awesome. And I got to ask him a question about, in Batman #6, there's a time where you have to like flip the pages because it makes you feel crazy because you go backwards. If you read the book, you understand what I'm talking about. And I asked him about it. He said that was his idea, and Scott Snyder ended up being the guest panel host for that. And it was just like surprise. And so I got to see them both, and that was really cool. And then this little baby, it's my new pride and joy.
I'll hold that while you talk.
This is Superman Unchained #1. It's the Bruce Timm cover.
Okay.
So Bruce Timm is the guy that did Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series.
Those are Batman the Animated Series, one of the most highly regarded.
Batman everything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Were those always original stories, or were those taken from the graphic novels or from the comics?
Harley Quinn was invented in Batman the Animated Series.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And that ran in the 90s, right?
Yeah,
early
early
90s.
First season. I had the first season.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So, and that's a lot of all the voice actors from like most of the games, the Batman Arkham
Mark
games.
Hamill was in.
Mark Hamill's the Joker in that, and like Kevin Conroy, pretty much everyone.
Kevin Conroy's in the Oh, now I gotta watch
He's
that.
Batman in the
I think of
series.
him as Batman.
Right, he is Batman.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he's the voice. That's why it was always
Wow.
really cool. And then the first Arkham game, the lady who did Harley Quinn originally was Harley Quinn in that, and they get a lot of the voice actors that were those into the Arkham games. So this is a variant cover. So it was 1 in 100, and it was $60 when I bought it, and because it was the Bruce Timm variant. So when comic books come out, they usually come out with, when it's a big release, or sometimes like half the releases now end up having variant covers, but they'll have like tiers of variant covers. So in 1 in every 100 comics was this cover, and then 1 in every like 250 comics was like the original sketch but without color, and like they'll just have different artists do variant covers. So Bruce Timm, like a hero of mine growing up because I watched the show so much, and I was like, Bruce Timm's the best. He did this cover, and Comixology, the online comic book distributor, were having Bruce Timm for free signing posters for Gods and Monsters, the new Justice League Gods and Monsters animated movie that I told you to watch. That I just bought.
That's the alternate universe.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so he was promoting that.
Yep.
And so he was there, and I was like, I wonder if he'll sign this, while I'm there. He signed that, and he signed up to 2 other things. So I got these little cards. They're like little like trading cards of the animated series while I was live at the DC booth, and I had him sign those too. So the Harley Quinn and Batman is signed by that.
So this one's got a straight seal on it, though. You'll never open this, eh?
I mean, I already opened it to have him sign it.
Oh, it's tape. You're right. Okay.
Anyway, so but I then got Jim Lee to sign it, who does all the inside art and uses the standard cover art. Which so that the 3 people on this are Scott Snyder, Jim Lee, and Scott Williams, but he's a colorist, so it's not like he didn't do the special cover. The cover's Bruce Timm. So I got Bruce Timm to sign the cover, and then I ran into Scott Snyder at the Greg Capullo thing. Was like, hey, can you sign this real quick? And he's like, whip, 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 whip. So I got all 3 signatures of the people that are major parts of this book to sign the Superman Unchained #1, which is super awesome. And really, people say that it's hard to get everything done at Comic-Con, but
you think you got everything accomplished?
I went with 4 books and I got them all signed. I got this one signed by all 3 people. That's true. And it happened to work out that way. So if I'd stood in line for Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo later, I never would have got it signed by those other books signed by Jim Lee and everything else.
Did you spend all 3 days at Comic-Con?
So I spent 2 days at Comic-Con.
Okay. You got a lot.
And I got all these signatures done in one day.
So these are great. Everything that you've seen here. Before we wrap up, though, my favorite thing personally, and it's sitting on Taylor's family shelf of pictures.
Yeah.
So with all of his family, he's got his picture with Stephen Amell and his beautiful girlfriend Sarah.
Yeah.
But yes, that is Taylor, Stephen Amell, and Sarah. And he sent me this picture when he was there. And Taylor, just want you to tell me the story again for everyone.
Okay.
It makes me so happy.
Okay, so I was not stalking him on Twitter to find out where he was going because I missed the panel. So Nerd HQ is across the street. It's Zachary Levi's thing that he does.
Is that the Chuck guy?
Yeah.
The guy who's entangled? Okay,
yes,
got
the
it.
Chuck guy.
I couldn't remember.
So he's a super cool guy, I guess, in person. He's there's all these E3s and all these events that are exclusive. You need to buy tickets you run out to. So he goes to these events and hosts, and this was the Children's Museum, across the street, but, pop-up events for anyone. And he has his own panels because he has friends in the business and, all of,
really cool.
the Joss Whedon's there and, he gets a ton of people, Felicia Day and, everybody. Everybody, does cool panels. And and Elijah Wood, and I missed getting a picture of Elijah Wood, which was a real bummer for me. And it's more a bummer for Sarah. She was very disappointed. But we didn't know. We didn't know this thing happened. So I was following him, and I knew I missed the panel because I didn't know there were panels until, the day of. And I was like, well, I'll never get tickets now.
Yeah.
But he's like, on my way to Nerd HQ, Stephen Amell tweeted. And I was like, Sarah, let's just maybe when he's going in or coming out or something, we can catch him, right? Because we're all fans of Arrow, right?
Sure, we are.
And,
Fans of Arrow.
Yeah, that's the best. And he's, the nicest guy. Everything you see about him always seems like the best thing. And he's Canadian. So, which he loves the Dunedin Blue Jays, and they have a spring training thing here.
Yes, they do.
So we should just go to
he comes down here?
for spring training games.
Did he say that?
No, but he loves them.
Oh, man. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll check his Twitter feed and his Tumblr, and then we're going to make sure, in the past when the spring training was, and we'll see if he ever posted from here. Then we'll know.
And then we'll just go to every Dunedin spring training game, and then we can drink with him and high five of baseball stuff. So we'll have to learn baseball.
The picture, though, that's not a natural picture.
Okay, yeah. So here's what happened was I get there, and I was like, okay, so do people do, I heard about this Smiles for Smiles thing. And I was like, what's this Smiles for Smiles? Because I kept getting... The Nerd HQ app gave you updates all the time to a point where you were like, I might just uninstall this thing. Because it was almost like, Smiles for Smiles with somebody you don't know. If I was Smiles for somebody you don't know. And I was like, well, that's weird. I don't know all these people. But so after their panels, some celebrities will, for pure charity, for a children's charity, Smiles for Smiles, $20 per photo.
Good for him.
And if you stay in line, he probably took at least over 100 pictures.
Okay.
So that's got to be tiring. I mean, smiling all those times?
Yeah.
That's got to be awful. But he was a nice
all
guy.
the money's donated.
All the money. Literally, they take your $20 in cash and you put it into a thing and they zip it up and they send it to charity.
You know what? When he first told me that he paid $20, I was like, man, I don't really like when celebrities do that. They have no reason
every
to ever
person
get a
that did pictures
but that's fantastic.
at this Nerd HQ thing did Smiles for Smiles.
That's
for $20. Yeah. So we get there and there's
a long wait in line?
Not really. So it's nice because you talk to people. Comic-Con, you learn more talking to people online the first time you go to make the second time better than you would reading anything anywhere. Because all these people are inside knowledge. Yeah, well, you could have gone to Hall H after this Star Wars panel because everyone leaves. You're like, of course they would, right? They think I made it. Then you sneak in. Whatever. The point is that we're standing in line and I was asking everybody because it wasn't an official Smiles for Smiles. There were ones that were official and they're like, well, he might or might not do it. So I'm like, well, where would he do it if he were to do it? And they're like, there's a line. You stand outside. And I saw there was kind of a line out there. And I was in people line. I was like, is this a supposed line for the Stephen Amell Smiles for Smiles? And they were like, this is the Stephen Amell Smiles for Smiles. I was like, then I will stand right here.
Yeah.
And so Sarah and I stood in line with a guy who was in front of us who was super cool. And they were from San Diego. So they get tickets to Comic-Con, but they also just you could go to Nerd HQ every year and not all the stuff that's outside. The whole downtown's turned around. There's buildings that don't exist. There's things you can go into without a badge. They're just Comic-Con. Everything's Comic-Con.
Wow.
So you could if you live in San Diego, you just dress up and have a good time in Nerd HQ or something, But anyway, so he was talking about how last time he was the end of the line for Stephen Amell, and they were just because he was tired, he just needed to go. They just shoved a bunch of people together, and were it's still $20 per photo from all the people that wanted a photo. And so he's it was me and 8 other people I didn't know, and he's disappointing. So he's I hope that I make it in this time. And so we were sitting behind him. We got there, and as I was getting closer, we knew what was happening, and Sarah and I were just super stoked. And then he was standing right there. He's super tall.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in there. I walk in, puts his hand, looks me right in the eye, and goes, "Hey, buddy." And I'm like, "Hey." So obviously we're buddies.
Yeah, best friends.
Best friends, right?
Oh,
and then I stood on this side. Sarah came in, and then we took pictures, and we were both super starstruck because I've never really been starstruck before.
Sure.
I feel but it was so.
You don't know what to do. You want to treat them like normal people, but in reality, they're so much better.
Arrow.
Yeah,
right? What am I gonna do? So we're walking out, and Sarah's brother loves the show, right? He loves the show, and so he told Sarah to tell Stephen Amell that he loves him, and she was gonna do it, but then she got scared. But then we're on our way out, and she goes, "Oh, my brother says he loves you," and Stephen Amell was like, "Thank you," and then she was like, "What did I just do?"
Yeah, now she's that girl.
Yeah,
so good.
But we walked out though, and we were both just giggling for like 20 minutes because it was such a surreal experience. But he was super nice and super tall.
So I mean, Green Arrow has always been my favorite Marvel character. So wrapping up this, I do know he's DC because that's the credit they put at the end is DC. Right. So there we go. Wrapping up the show, we're at about 20 minutes now. So I'm actually thinking this would make a great audio podcast. But people that are listening and they got to this point in the audio podcast, you really should go back and watch the video so you can see those covers.
Yeah.
Because you taught me a lot. I didn't know a lot about who these artists were and the differences between them too. But you guys definitely want to check it out. So anyone watching, thank you. Anyone listening, go back and watch the video. Subscribe while you're there.
YouTube.com/CBXcasts. That's CBXCASTS.com. Follow us at Comic Chat WGAT.
Yep, on Twitter.
On Twitter. Comic Chat with Gat on Instagram. I'm putting a lot of tabletop stuff up there lately.
Yeah, we have a really fun tabletop video. Taylor's going to teach me the
DC deck building game. Well, we're doing the Arrow special edition.
Exactly.
So it all ties together.
I'm obsessed with that. I got to get a shirt. This is my only shirt I own.
They had a really cool shirt at Comic-Con for Arrow, which I think I found the website. It's an island, and then it's a bow and arrow, and then it's an arrow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And there's also one that says you failed this city, but it's still too much.
Yeah.
We got Sarah's brother a Star Labs sweater.
Oh yeah.
Like from Flash. It looks just like the same one, which is pretty neat. Like that's the kind of shirts that I would like. The ones that are like subtle, but like
Yeah.
You know.
So this
See you
has
later.
been Comic Chat with Gat. We hope you've enjoyed. Again, subscribe. It helps us keep making this stuff because Taylor lives an hour away from me. And what's the purpose if no one watches?
It's just we're friends. I thought we were. Hey you! Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Okay. See you later.
Welcome to Comic Chat. I love doing that. I'm sorry.